Welcome to The Car Flip Show. My name's Justin. I was a part-time flipper turned full-time used car dealer. This show is all about teaching you how to buy and sell cars for profit. Thanks so much for listening. Let's get into the episode. This is episode 12 of The Car Flip Show. I'm glad to have you along for the ride today. We're going to be looking at 6 specific things today associated with interior detailing of a car. A lot of folks overlook this step. They buy a car, they put it out for sale, they don't invest the right amount of time up front in getting the car to look in a way that it should when the potential buyer comes to look at it. Maybe there's stains on the headliner, stains in the carpet, the buttons potentially on the radio are peeling. A lot of the Chevy, Volkswagen, certain vehicles are known for their paint to peel on certain parts of the car. Are these things you should spend time on? Are there things you should let go? We're going to look at a little bit of that in today's episode, but this is a step you don't want to skip because a lot of times it's pretty simple fixes. You might just not know how to do it, or you might not know the correct products to buy. Just spoiler alert, they're not expensive. So we're going to go through a few basic things you can do. A lot of the stuff you can buy at Walmart or your grocery store, but these are some things that I do to spruce up the cars that I flip. So before I get into that, just give you a quick rundown of the last week for me. I actually just got back from vacation a few days ago, so I had a good time with my family in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Had a house on the beach there, so got to spend some time with wife and kids. My parents were there, brother, sister. I have 2 sisters, one of them couldn't make it, but got to spend some time down there. It was hot and it was salty. I'm not a beach fan, but I was there because my kids enjoyed it. So spent some time just relaxing. Last week also was the close of registration for the car flip course, so I'm really excited for those that joined. We just had our first live group call a couple days ago, so got to interact with a few people. A few that are already in the course jumped in as well. Got to go over a $1,900 profit. Actually, one of our members that joined a couple months back had just made $1,900 that day, and I think it took him 3 or 4 days to go from purchase to complete sale. It was I believe a 2005 Honda Odyssey. So he just got it, detailed it, $1,900 profit right off the bat. So happy for him. 2 of those that have just joined have vehicles that they've just purchased. I think one of them just grabbed a Grand Cherokee. The other has a Suzuki Forenza, I believe, which we went over in the group why I'm not the hugest fan of Suzukis, but that's another conversation for another day. But it's good to see those people making progress already. They've just joined. They're already ready to make the profits and most likely go ahead and pay for their course and some on their first investment in themselves buying this vehicle. So that's been fun to watch their progress. But this episode is about detailing, which we talked about in the actual episode or in the actual conversation during the live call. So I thought it'd be helpful for you guys to maybe get a look inside my brain and how I approach vehicles when I am detailing. Now, I'm not a professional detailer. I've just learned a few tricks, a few things that I use as I go along. And the first thing, and these are not ranked like in order, so number 1 isn't going to be the most important thing, and number 6 isn't going to be the least important. I just threw these on a list, and I'm going to just go over them with you. So not listed by importance, but the number 1 thing is going to be a magic eraser. Now, if you're not familiar with a magic eraser, the first time I ran across one, I saw my mom in the kitchen. She opened this blue box and it said magic eraser. And so that just naturally drew me in. Like, what is a magic eraser? So I went over there. She's like scrubbing something in the kitchen. I don't know what it was, but it took off like I got like a tough stain. I think it was like a crayon or a Sharpie or a pen. She's like, marked it right off. And I was like, what is that? She showed me. At the time when I saw this, I was involved with a junkyard up the road. My dad had a relationship with one of the managers. We had arranged where I could go into the junkyard and I could grab pretty much any interior part. I could take it, bring it home, clean it up, put it on eBay, sell it, and whatever the part sold for, like a seat or maybe a sun visor or something like that, whatever it sold for, I didn't have to split the profit. I got to split the entire sale. So if I sold a seat for $300, I got to keep $150 of that, give the junkyard $150. They were happy because they didn't know how to use eBay, and I did. So that was kind of where I was able to make my money at that time as like a 14, 15-year-old. So I see this magic eraser. I say, can I borrow one of those? I had some seats downstairs I just got, I think, out of a Chevy Tahoe. On the Tahoes at the time anyway, the middle row, which was a captain's chair. Some of them had benches, some of them had captain's chairs. The captain's chairs were selling for a lot of money on eBay because there weren't that many of them that were available. So I had a set that I just got in. They were like a beigeish tan. So I went down there with the magic eraser. There was a pretty good stain on one of them, but I wanted to sell them as a set. So I said, well, let's see what this thing will do. You have to wet the magic eraser. I started wiping it, and the stain just completely disappeared. I brought my dad down. I was like, Dad, you've got to check this out. So I showed him I'm wiping, and the first thing he said, Justin, don't tell anyone. Like, he wanted this to be like our secret thing that we knew, because at the time he had his dealer's license at this point, I believe. He was selling cars, so he thought this was going to be our competitive advantage. We would know about the magic eraser. So obviously, sorry, Dad, I'm telling everyone, you probably know about a magic eraser, but a lot of people don't think about taking that product inside the car. So it works for leather. You have to be careful with your leather because leather is like a dyed piece of material. So if you go too much with the magic eraser, you can actually take the color off the leather. So be careful. You have to wet it. So you're going to wet the magic eraser, wring it out a little bit. I usually keep a paper towel with me because the water would drip as you're wiping. So I'm wiping with the magic eraser, drying with the paper towel at the same time. That's going to be how you're going to do it, but it's not only for leather. It works really well on the interior plastics. So maybe the dash, you could use it on door panels, little kick, plastic when you get into the car. Works great for that type of stuff as well. Things you don't want to use it on, it's not really for glass. If you got something on glass, use a razor blade and get it off of that. Don't use it on the paint of a car. When I started using it, I started hitting everything because I was learning this as I was going. So I was like, okay, it works on plastic. That's great. Works on this. That's awesome. And I was like, I wonder if it would work on a paint scuff. So I went to put it on the paint scuff, and it kind of acted as sandpaper. So don't do that. Not that you're going to damage anything. You could buff it out, but it's not going to work on the exterior paint of your vehicle. So don't try that. But the magic eraser, they're cheap. You can buy them at Walmart today. There'll be some links in the show notes where you can buy them on Amazon. I actually usually don't buy the actual magic eraser brand. I forget who manufactured it. It might be Procter & Gamble. I can't remember, but there's an actual brand at Walmart called Magic Eraser. On Amazon, you can buy them a little cheaper, and you get more of like a bulk type shipment of the same product. I mean, they're almost identical and they work the same. So I'll put a link in the show notes where you can actually see the ones that I buy. But definitely worth your investment. Just buy them, have them ready for whenever you need them. And you can also keep them inside your house because they work really well in the kitchen as well and bathroom. So we had some stains. We just purchased the house. We had some stains in a sink. And my wife was like, I don't know how I'm going to get this out. And so I said, you wait right there. And I went into my tool chest, pulled out my magic eraser, and took care of it. So I was the hero for the day. But magic eraser, great product. The next one we're going to look at is 409 carpet cleaner. Now, this isn't the 409 you keep under the kitchen sink that's in a squirt bottle. This is like an aerosol carpet specific 409. The good thing about the 409 is it is great for carpet, but you can use it in other applications as well. So it would kind of overlap with some of the things that the magic eraser would do. So if you're going to use your magic eraser on maybe your door panel, 409 is a good alternative to that because you can take the 409, spray down a door panel, take a handheld brush, brush the door, come back with a paper towel. It will do a great job. Sometimes there are places you can't get with a magic eraser because just the shape, it's like a sponge is what a magic eraser will look like. Some areas you can't quite work in and get to with that magic eraser. So if you spray down the area you need to clean, it's not going to work for leather. I guess you could, but it's really not meant for that. But let's say you spray down a door panel, you hit it with the brush, you're going to get in the crevices with the brush, you come back with the paper towel and you wipe off what you've loosened up. It works great for that. It's made for carpet, so of course carpet can be cleaned with it. My process when I'm using this 409 carpet cleaner, which it would apply with pretty much any spray-on carpet cleaner, this process would work. I like the 409 one because it's cheap. We'll put a link below where you can order it online, but generally this is cheaper bought at Walmart. It's like $2.47. It's under $3. It'll vary where you live, but I buy it for about $2.50 a can at Walmart. I actually usually walk in and they usually have like 10 on the shelf and I grab all of them. So if anyone ever comes behind me, there's usually not any left. I'm sure they have some in the back, but I grab it all, throw it in my cart, and I'm good to go. But $2.50 is what I pay for it at Walmart. You can check Amazon, eBay. Maybe you can find it cheaper, but that's where I've been buying it the cheapest as of yet. But when you spray it on your carpet, the process is basically you spray it on. You want to let it sit for a few minutes. You don't want it to dry because if it dries, you're not going to get the cleaning power that you need. So spray it in, let it sit for a couple minutes. While it's still wet, you're going to come back with your brush, the same brush maybe you use on the door panels, but you're going to brush out that carpet. You're going to loosen up any stains that you can. As soon as you brush it, you're going to come behind it with some paper towels. And this is kind of what you could call like a poor man's steam cleaner. Like I have a steam cleaner in the back that I think I spent close to $1,000 on. Great piece of equipment. It comes in handy. It can save you time. But this is what I did before I had that piece of equipment. So I'd spray the 409 carpet cleaner, brush it in, and then take the paper towel, and you're going to rub that carpet with the paper towel. And the dirty stuff in the carpet ideally comes out on the paper towel, and it might take a few treatments of this to get and extract everything out. But that's the general process and how that works. The great thing about the 409, as opposed to, I think there's a brand called Tough Stuff. There's a couple other brands that I've used. Blue Coral is one that I've bought at Advance before. One, they've generally been expensive. The Tough Stuff, I think, has been pretty close as far as a price point. But the 409 actually has a really good smell. So you can spray it in there, and not only will it be clean, but you'll also have a nice fresh aroma when someone opens the door. I've actually had cars that have stunk and they didn't need cleaned, and I just sprayed the 409 and let it dry because it's a good smell. The Tough Stuff and some of the other cleaners, just honestly, they kind of stink, so I haven't used those as much. So the 409 carpet cleaner, great not only for the carpet, also works for the upholstery if you have cloth seats. It's difficult to use on a headliner because it only sprays down. It doesn't actually operate if you spray it up, so you can put it on a paper towel, I guess, and rub it. But I'm going to talk about something in a moment that's a lot simpler to use on a headliner, and you probably already have it in your kitchen right now. So that'll be something we'll talk about. I think that's actually number 6. But that is the 409 carpet cleaner. Now, another product that is similar and actually can use similar functions is Purple Power. Now, Purple Power is a little more potent than a 409 carpet cleaner. 409, you'd want to be a little careful if you spray it on carpet and say leave it. I would be careful spraying on seats, that kind of thing, just leaving it. But 409 is a degreaser, so it can break up some things that maybe your 409 carpet cleaner won't. This comes in handy if, say, you have really dirty carpet. Another way to clean your carpet as opposed to spraying, brushing, paper towel is to get a hot bucket of water, spray down your carpet with with Purple Power. And again, Purple Power, you can buy it at Walmart, you can buy it anywhere, you can buy it online. As long as it's like a degreaser, you don't have to buy the actual Purple Power brand. Most of the ones I buy end up being purple, but some of them are green, like a Simple Green is a very similar thing. But you spray down the carpet, take your hot water, which you could mix in some Purple Power with that. You're going to use that hot water, and you're going to scrub the carpet and do something similar, come by with a dry cloth and dry up the dirty stuff that comes out of your carpet. So obviously you don't want to be dumping buckets of water in there, but the Purple Power is really good for cleaning. Another good use for Purple Power is actually something that I just did. I just got in a Chrysler Pacifica. I bought it in a hurry at an auction. It was raining, and I didn't take the time that I should have to look on the inside of the car. Needless to say, I got it back. It was probably the dirtiest car I've ever had. Like it was disgusting. Like we found $10 under one of the seats, so that was cool. But we also found forks and food and just all kinds of nasty stuff. So we actually had to pull the seats out. We tried to steam clean them in the car. It didn't do anything. Like it didn't. I mean, they were cleaner, but they were still disgusting. There were stains everywhere. So what we did was we unbolted the seats, the front seats, the middle row, the second row, and the third row. We took them all outside. We sprayed them down with Purple Power, or a degreaser. It would have been the same. We sprayed them down, let them soak in for a second, and then we took a pressure washed the seats outside, and they actually came out looking, I don't want to say like new, but they came out looking what you would expect a 2007 model year seat to look like. They look like a normal seat. So that's a great use. A lot of people don't realize that you can do that with an interior part. Now be careful. If you do this and you damage something electrically on your seat, let it completely dry. We left them outside in the sun and then put a fan on them overnight. We made sure they were completely dry before we installed them, so we haven't had any issues, but it did wonders. You can also do this for interior carpet. I bought my wife a while back it was either 2010 or 2011 Chevrolet Traverse. I was at an auction. It was a really good deal, but it was really dirty on the inside. I knew it was really dirty. It had a check engine light that was, I forget what it was even for, but it was something simple. Some other folks were afraid of it, so I got it back, and it was so dirty that I decided to pull everything out of the car. I pulled up the carpet, and as I was pulling up the carpet, like you could tell there had been kids in there. There was like milk it was just disgusting. And Actually, this one was so dirty. I don't know. The dirtiest cars, you do seem to sometimes find stuff because they never clean their car. We actually found a Nintendo DS. So my son, 7-year-old Jaron, was freaking out because he got a free Nintendo DS out of the deal. A couple games were stuffing under the seat. It was like the back seat where someone had put it down and they couldn't see under it what was there. So that was pretty cool. But we pulled the entire carpet. It was black carpet. I thought I was going to have to dye the carpet, which is something we're actually going to talk about as the fourth thing here in just a minute. But we pulled it out. I put the purple power on it, pressure washed it. It came out amazing, like so good. I didn't have to dye it. If you had the floor mats out, you couldn't even tell it had been dirty before. So that's an option. Obviously, that entails a little more work. If you already had the seats out, if you can get the center console out, it's usually not that much extra. It might be worth your while, but Purple Power is the great cleaner that you would use if you were going to pressure wash those type of things in a car. Now, don't do them while they're in the car. My mom, this is, a long time ago when we got our first pressure washer, I had to have been like 8, 9, I may have been a little older. So we get this pressure washer. My mom's outside. She's cleaning the driveway. She's like amazed, like, wow, it's been this dirty. And all of a sudden she accidentally hit the car. She was like, oh, wow. Like she started, doing the car. And then she was like, man, my carpet's really dirty. She pressure washed the entire interior of a something year Chevy Suburban. And it came out looking amazing, except she didn't think about how the water was going to get out of the car. She just shut the doors. My dad comes home that night. She didn't mention it. The next day she said, Mike, that's my dad's name. She said, Mike, I found out the most amazing thing. Let me show you. And he's like, what? And she says, no, let me show you. She walks him out there, opens the door, and they both about fall down because like there's mildew. It's disgusting, musty. Like we never got that smell out of that Suburban. Like we had to drive in it to school, and my mom was like, no, it doesn't smell that bad. And it was horrible. So not a fun thing for us. We still, every time I see a pressure washer and my mom's around, I'm always like trying to grab her, like, no, mom, no. Like, don't. Anyway, so fun story for my family. Don't spray on the inside of a vehicle with a pressure washer. So that is number 3. That number 3 is Purple Power. Very useful cleaner. On the exterior, you can actually use it for tires. You can use it on some wheels. Be careful, but it's good for cleaning on the exterior as well. But number 4, if you were to clean your carpet, so you've tried the 409, didn't do enough. You tried the Purple Power, carpet's still nasty, or maybe someone has spilled something that's stained the carpet. There's a massive stain right in the middle where you can't cover. What are you going to do? Carpet dye can be a great option for that. So if you have a vehicle, everything's great, paint's great, runs great. There's just this massive stain in the carpet that you can't cover with a floor mat. What do? Do you just leave it and take $500 off the price, or just let people come and look at it and not be interested because there's that stain? Or do you spend $6 to $8 on a can of carpet dye and take care of that one spot? Now, there are options where you can spot in. So if there's one stain, I can spot that in. Generally, if I'm dyeing the carpet, I'm going to dye the entire vehicle. So that's going to cost more than $6 or $8. I pay $6 a can at an Advanced Auto Parts up the road. They give me a discount because I have a commercial account, and I think it comes up as like $6.89, but I order enough of it. I order it by the case, which is 6 cans, and I just call it, hey, if I'm ordering a case, can you do $6? And they do it for me. So basically, the premise of this is your carpet is a certain color. So maybe it's gray, maybe it's black. I've had Corvettes that are red. So that carpet is dyed from the factory. That's how they got it red or how they got it gray. So the basic premise of this is we have a spray can which contains a dye. It comes out like spray paint, but it's more of a dye. When it hits the carpet, it absorbs into the carpet. We're going to then change the color of the stain back to close to what the original color is. So let's say it's gray. We have a red stain where somebody's kid spilled Code Red Mountain Dew. I may or may not be speaking from experience there, but we want to get that red out and go back to gray. So we would have a gray carpet dye. There's 2 basic brands that I use here. One is Duplicolor, which is what I would buy from Advance for the $6 a can, and the other is SEM, or some people would call it SEM, but the SEM brand has colors that are more manufacturer specific. So they would have colors that match like almost identical to a Chevy fill-in-the-blank color or a Ford. There's not as many when you get into like the Volkswagens and the I guess outside of American brands, but they have a ton of colors. Even if you have a Volkswagen Rutan minivan, like you can find a color that will be closer than you can with the Duplicolor. The Duplicolor they'll have like medium gray, a light gray, I think there might be a charcoal, but there's three if you're trying to find gray, and there's not going to be a lot of colors in between. If you have a gray carpet and you're trying to match it up and you go to the SEM, there's probably going to be 15 different grays, and you should be able to find one somewhere. Even if it's not made to exactly match your carpet, you're going to find one that's going to be really close. The difference price-wise is a little more than double. I think I want to think it's close to $15 a can for the SEM. Given you're only going to need 3 cans, 4 cans probably tops for a vehicle, it's not that huge of an investment money-wise. But if you can get by with the Duplicolor, like for example, I have a Chevrolet, what is it? It's a Chevrolet Avalanche pickup truck right now. It's had really dark gray carpet. It does have a couple red stains in the back. I'm going to want to get that out. It won't clean out, so we're going to be dyeing the carpets. They sell a charcoal gray, which is really close to the same color, so it's easy just to use the cheaper version of that. Blacks are all pretty close. If you have a black, your cheap black's going to work. There's 2 different ones they have at Advanced Auto Parts. With the Duplicolor, there's a flat black and a gloss black. I prefer the gloss black. It gives it a better sheen, in my opinion. But it's a matter of taping off, making sure you don't spray other interior parts. You don't spray the seats. You don't spray these other things. But the carpet dye is a great option for taking care of pesky stains that you can't get out. Now, it also works on interior trim as well. It can actually dye into certain plastics, but that's a separate use that you could experiment with on your own. I don't use it on upholstered seats, just because, honestly, I've never tried it. And normally, if there's a stain on a seat, I've been able to get it out. I don't know if it would have the best look and match on a seat. Now, if you have leather seats, there is a whole other product called Classic Coat. I believe SEM manufacturers, called Classic Coat. Again, they're manufacturer-specific colors for each individual vehicle. Most colors that I've been able to acquire have matched pretty well. But that is an option for leather seats. So if you have a leather seat that's cracking or just has some discoloration, you can get by dyeing or covering over with that spray that will actually match pretty well. SEM Classic Coat's what that is called. Number 5 is interior, I'm going to call it button repair. So let's say you have like I do right now, this 2003 Chevrolet Avalanche. If you've had a Chevrolet Tahoe, Suburban, Silverado, the Avalanche falls in this category. The radios on them, for whatever reason, the coating that they use for the buttons, it peels off. So you'll use it, and the more you use it, the more wear that's possible. So it actually comes through, and I think it comes through like a white or a clear, and that doesn't look good when someone's coming to look at a car. Not that it would be a deal breaker, but for as easy as it is to fix, for me, it's usually worth it. And there's 2 very simple ways that you can take care of it in the next 5 minutes, or some vehicles, there's a separate option, but I'll get to that in a second. The easiest way to do this is to grab a Sharpie, walk out, color in the discoloration, you're done. Sometimes it takes a couple coats to get it to cover all the way, but that's the easiest. I do it all the time. Another way is to use a black touch-up paint. So if you have a black touch-up paint for a vehicle you've used in the past, now don't use a black metallic because that's going to show up. But if you just have a black touch-up paint that has a brush on it, you take it, you cover it. Like I think the last time I used this, I had a GMC Envoy that the main button you push for power also has a turn knob on it, but the power, all of it was gone. So the whole front of the button was white, and it's probably about the size of a quarter. It just didn't look good. You got a black radio, you got this white button. You can tell that it's worn. So I took the black touch-up paint, I covered it in, or colored that in with the touch-up paint, let it dry. It's been perfect. So something like that gets a lot of wear, I might go in with the touch-up paint. But it's something that's not going to draw someone's eye. So when someone gets in the car, they're looking at everything. Maybe there is some wear on one of the seats, and maybe the dash has a little spot on it, and you just don't want that to be one more thing that draws someone's eye that would give them a feeling of not wanting to purchase it. So this is something that I do pretty much any vehicle if it comes in with wear on the radio. Buttons, I'm going to either use the Sharpie or the black touch-up paint to cover. The Sharpie is the easiest, the quickest, less chance for, error, because if you have your black touch-up paint and you actually smear it or it drips, obviously more problems could be caused by that. Now, another option on certain vehicles, the Chevrolets in particular, I've done this on, the Chevy Traverses, the Chevrolet Malibus, they're just notorious for that button wear, so much so that certain companies and actually individuals on Amazon and eBay have started to print out buttons. Like you can literally peel off a sticker, You put it on the button, and it actually looks pretty good. Now, at night, you know, the light, they leave a little hole where the light can shine through where it would on the original button on the actual sticker you're putting on. So at night, it doesn't look like it would have been from the factory. But in the daylight, when someone's coming to look at your car, you really can't tell if you don't know. Now, you have to be careful with your alignment. So when you're putting the actual sticker on top of the button, you got to be real careful. And it's easy to, oh, I went too far to the left. It might be difficult to pull it off and then readjust it. But the sets that I've bought, I think it came with like 3 full sets for like $10, or it might have been $7.99 or something. So if you mess up, there's extra buttons. But it would come with enough to cover the entire radio face. So the volume control, the tuner knob, all the little preset buttons, like this, the forward and back for the CD. Everything, every button is there, so you generally don't need every single button. So for me, I have a stockpile of stickers for the radios for the Chevy Malibus. I also have them for the Chevy Traverses, and I think I have a few for the Chevy Equinoxes. So the next time I get one in and I have a button that's worn and I happen to have a spare, it's not an extra expense for me. I can just go grab the sticker, throw it up there, and we're good to go. So again, Sharpie is probably the easiest. You probably already have one. Black touch-up paint is a probably more long-term alternative. Just be careful you don't drip or get a run. But the stickers would be the most aesthetically pleasing if they are available for your vehicle. Again, they're not for all, but for the Chevys, they're really easy to find. You just go on Amazon or eBay and just put in, you know, radio sticker and then put in your vehicle. And if they're available, they're going to pop up. Our last thing we're going to talk about is probably the most simple, probably of anything on this list. Like if you were to have this product, you probably have this one, but it's used when you have a headliner that has a scuff or a smudge, or maybe, you know, most problems that I encounter in cars are in the rear or the back part of the car, especially in the third row type vehicles, because kids, right? I have 3 kids. It's unbelievable what my kids can do to a car in a short period of time. Like every now and then I take one home from the car lot just to drive home, and I end up driving the kids in it. And then I come back to the car lot the next day and I'm like, where did you even get this stuff? Like, I don't even know we own this stuff. How did you leave it back here? How did you get this on the headliner? You know, why were you smearing stuff on the windows? But, you know, cleaning something off a window or out of the carpet or off plastics, that's one thing. But when things get smeared or into a headliner, that's when it gets a little tricky, because it's difficult to clean things in an area that you can't spray. Like I can't spray my 409 up there. There's different things you can't do on a headliner that you can do other places, but it's actually very simple what you would do for a headliner. And you're going to go in your kitchen, you're going to grab your Windex, you're going to walk outside, you're going to spray the stain or the smudge or whatever it is on your headliner. The good thing about a headliner is your stains shouldn't be as bad or as set in on the headliner, because people aren't, hopefully not, they're not smudging their feet or dumping things. Like hopefully, you know, I've had instances where my kids have shaken something drink-wise and it's shot up, but normally those spills go down. So usually the stain isn't as set in on the headliner. So you're going to take your Windex, you're going to spray the spot, and then you're going to use a cloth. I prefer like a white, I think they call it like a terry towel. Don't go in your garage and grab one of the red cloths, because those usually leave the red color on your headliner. So grab something that's not going to lose fibers. Like certain paper towels will leave the fibers wherever you go to clean. But if you have a good quality paper towel, I like the white cloths that don't leave behind any material. You're going to scrub that out, and normally the stain or whatever it is you have on your headliner will come out. It might take a couple applications, and you might have to let it dry to really know for sure that you got it. So you're going to have the wet spot left from the Windex. But for me, that's my go-to in cleaning a headliner. Now, I do have the option of using my steam cleaner. That works really well on most headliners. The problem is it's a headache, because you're going upside down. You're spraying water, hot water at that up, and as it goes up, most of it gets sucked back into the vacuum attachment, but a lot of it falls on you, so you end up coming out in a hot mist of a vehicle, which isn't pleasant in the summer. So normally I'm going to spot clean that with Windex. You could go into a million different uses for Windex, so I'm not going to do that, because you've used Windex, you understand it can clean the glass, and it can also clean plastics. It also does really well on leather seats. Just be very careful. You can spot clean leather with a toothbrush. You can spray the Windex directly on the toothbrush, or you can spray it on the seat. Just be careful, because it will spot certain leather. Scrub it with a toothbrush. Again, be careful, like with the magic eraser. You can go through the color, but Windex has so many uses. I like it for cup holders and plastic because you can spray it in the cup holders, let it sit as it loosens all the gunk, come behind later, wipe it up with paper towel. So Windex, especially for headliners, I like it for that application. There are a million other cleaners you could use for that, but Windex is so basic and it doesn't harm the fabric that it's a good option because you're going to have it readily available. And then while you have it out there, you can also clean other parts of your vehicle. But those are 6 things, again, not ranked from important to least important, but just 6 things that I use on a regular basis that I thought would be helpful for you as you go through maybe your first flip, or maybe you haven't flipped a vehicle yet and you've got your car on the drive when you're thinking, man, how do I get that stain out of my leather? Go inside, grab the magic eraser. Be careful, don't go through the leather, but that's going to do wonders for your interior parts. So that's the episode for today. Those are 6 ways you can detail a car, and maybe certain ways that you hadn't thought of before. Most of them were very basic, but they're ways that you can get rid of certain objections. If someone walks in, they're not going to see that, this, and that because you've taken care of those things from a detail standpoint. Doesn't mean your car has to be perfect, but the more objections we can remove, the better, because it's going to give our chance a better shot at actually selling, the less things people find that they would perceive to be wrong with them. So a lot of our episodes will be more in the nitty-gritty of this is how you flip cars, this is how you sell cars. This is one of those that doesn't quite feel that way, but it's just as important because if no one wants to buy the car you have because it is, fill in the blank and has those issues as far as from a detail standpoint, if you can save the money and do it yourself as opposed to paying someone, that's profit that you're putting back into your pockets. If this has been helpful, definitely subscribe to the show. You can do so on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever's best for you. Also, it'd be amazing if you had 2 seconds to leave a rating and review. I always love to hear your feedback. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next episode.